Can you unlock your phone and text E and tell her to get on now, please? All right, we're going to try this one last time. I'm telling you. Thank God for Adisa. Adisa. Osaepa. So I'm just waiting for her to get on so I can invite her on. There we go. There she is. There she is, right there. I think that's the ticket right there. Very fast. There I am. We did it. Adisa is my. I just want to give.
I know, right?
Adisa, my boo. Adisa speaks. He is the epitome of technical savvy. Adisa, I love you. You're awesome. Like I was
That's
having.
funny because I'm certainly not. But it was saying I was connected, so whatever.
Old school. It don't make sense. It don't make sense how old school I am. I am definitely a digital girl and no I'm not. I'm not a digital girl. I'm by far. So thank you, Ia. I appreciate you being here, and I'm doing my first little live video on Facebook. I wanted to do it in person, but you're all the way in Cleveland, and we don't get to see each other often. I want to interview you for a while, and I just love you so much, and hugs. And let me properly greet you. Aboru Aboye. Oriye yo.
Aboshisheo.
And I don't agree, a leg bag. A leg bag. Is it muso, or how do I greet?
Buso.
All right.
Yeah, sister loves
that.
Praises.
So, I wanted to interview you so badly on Egbe for a long time. I have had my run in with Egbe for years, but for years I didn't know it was Egbe, and so I was saying the last few years with me getting closer to learning, just learning, however I'm learning, I'm getting more information on Egbe, and I'm just in awe. I'm really just in awe because it's so many levels to Egbe. It's really it's not like a secret, but it's just so many levels, And the more and more I find like it's more just being peeled, the level, like an onion, more layers are being peeled and revealed to me for my family. I have, everybody belongs to an egg day, but my son has had trouble with his egg bay since he was born, and I was just in a place that it was hard for me, and nobody could identify it. And when I got some information on what that was, I was like, well, why the hell nobody told me that before? What's going on? So, first of all, I want to introduce you to everybody. Welcome you. I want you to say all your names for us. I know you have a slew of beautiful traditional names. Can you please? And I just want to let everybody know El Shunakati is my elder, one of my favorite elders in the community.
Aww.
And she's initiated to Oshun, to Egbe, and to Ifa, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can please say your names to everybody.
I have to give recognition to my Lukumi background. My name in Lukumi is Okantomi, and what I was told, was that meant the heart of Oshun. Now, here comes Baba Bimbala, Awishe, and he says, oh, they will not know what that means in Yoruba land. So he adjusted it to Oshuni Kantomi, and basically that means Oshun's waters are enough for me. Egbe Nihun is my Egbe name.
Mm-hmm.
Egbe makes me proud as a peacock. That's what my Iya in Egbe told me. Ajoke is the family. And then Ifa Bosede is what I got for Ifa last year.
Okay.
So that's all of them. Okay,
Ajoke. So that's your Oriki.
I guess, yeah. One who came to be petted.
Well, thank you. So I got this list of. I had so many questions. I had to narrow it down seriously because we would be on here for 2 or 3 hours, and we don't have.
Yeah, we couldn't talk about all. Egbe is difficult to talk about, all at once. This is a lifelong experience with your Egbe.
It is, and I'm discovering that. So my first question is, how did you get to Egbe? Because from what I've noticed from knowing you all these years, your way into the tradition is Lukumi, and I know that Lukumi that I know of, they don't speak about Egbe. They don't. They mostly call Egbe Egun. And that's that was one of my challenges that I was having, and that's why I'm digging deeper into learning about this. That here in the diaspora is Egbe, Egon, and I'm like, well, what about our spiritual family in heaven? We had them before we became humans, and incarnated with our ancestral family here on earth. What about them? Nobody speaks about them. So you found Egbe through Lukumi. How did that happen? Or
nope.
Okay.
No, here's the thing. Sometimes we those of us who are initiated may not stay with the godparents who initiate us originally. Mm-hmm. We might not stay with them for the long haul. Mm-hmm. For me, that was kind of a blessing because I was able to, now I have to say able because we all know how sometimes it is. When you have godparents, they can be very good, but sometimes they're very restricting. And sometimes that is based on their knowledge base, let's just say. So when I found myself in the position to detach from my elders at the time, mm-hmm. there were plenty of elders who were willing to work with me. Let me just say that. And I went through my ancestors and Oshun and Egbe to ask who was appropriate. So Baba Bambola comes and he reads for me and he tells me about my Egbe. At the time, I was dreaming prophetically all the time. And he told me that was an aspect of the Ashe of Egbe, and that I would do well to get the work done. And told me that I would have to go to Nigeria and get it done. Wow. So I thought, okay, all right. The reason I had made Oshun in the first place is because I wanted to facilitate changes in my life. So I was willing to do what he said do. And because my ancestors and Oshun and Egbe had given the green light for him, then I took him up on the offer and went to Nigeria and made Egbe. So it did. I even had someone in the Lukumi system. Please don't think I'm bashing Lukumi, because I'm sitting up here in front in my living room in front of Shango and Aganju and Obatala and everybody else that I got through the Lukumi system. So I am not. But what I am saying is that there are things at home that didn't come in with the Lukumi practice, and there's gaps in there. Okay. I don't fault them. It just is what it is. So I had someone go so far as to tell me that what they gave me in Nigeria probably wasn't legitimate because they could have just given me something else like Palo. And I'm thinking, no, that's not the same thing, sir. That's not the same thing. So I
Interesting.
mean, you just have to, I feel blessed that I needed to go in a different route, other than, staying where I was. I feel really blessed with that because I have learned a lot as a result of that, a whole lot, from Lukumi elders and from Nigerian elders and from a few Cuban elders, because I got a chance to go to Cuba once too. So, it's a blessing. Um, what I was taught was that your Egbe is your first family,
Mm.
and that meaning your family before. Okay, let me backtrack a minute. My background, my occupational background is nursing, so some of this has a medical perspective, which works for me. So, all right, you have your earthly family, the family that you're birthed into. But in the spirit world at home, we have comrades, like you and I are comrades on earth. I have other groups of friends. Those are your Egbe.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was told in a nutshell, because it would take forever to talk about this. Your Egbe is your group of friends, and the birthing process, we don't all come to earth at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might come this year, somebody come 5 years later, somebody come 10 years later.
Wow.
So when we get here, we end up maybe by ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
or we might meet up with somebody that we have this uncanny relationship with, who could be one of our Egbe members, or we get here and we have these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting part of this for me as a school nurse is I'm working with a bunch of kids,
Mm-hmm.
and these kids are telling me all sorts of stuff, and I'm listening to them like, I'm thinking to
The
myself,
kids at your
daggone it,
school, the children at your school.
the children at school. And I'm thinking to myself, daggone it, how can I tell them to leave some snacks out in their bedroom? And I'm thinking, I'm just going to keep it real. I'm thinking, all right, do I tell them to put some candy out next to their bed? Or but I got to ask them, do they got roaches in their house or mice? I mean, I'm just saying. Sometimes I have to, and then I got to watch because I don't want to say too much, because then, I could end up having the principal, oh, so-and-so's mama said you said that they should put candy. I have to be really careful about that. But I see some of them and I think that child needs some Egbe work really bad. Or, yeah, I know that's funny. Somebody's laughing, but it's funny. I had one child come in. He was a kindergartner. His teacher kept bringing him to me. Now, I'm a substitute, so I only know some of these kids from Adam. And she keep bringing this kid to me, talking about the kids acting up. Well, this is medical. This is not, I'm not the behavior therapist. But the child would come in, and he's 5 years old now, and he would look at me, and he would say, I'm kind of different, don't you? This is what the child said to me.
Are you serious?
And I kind of looked at him like, okay, yeah. He said, I be dreaming stuff at night. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. 5 years old. We should have never threw our tools out.
Wow.
Should have never thrown our tools out. Or they shouldn't have never thrown our tools out, because now we have a problem. And we have a problem across the board. Because it's Black children, it's Latino children, it's white children, it's everybody.
But it's not,
because everybody has an Egbe.
But it's not really throwing the tools out if you don't know. And it never crossed over. It never came.
Well, here's what I'm saying. The reason I say throw our tools out is because if we are, and I do attend a church a lot. I like my church family, but they know I'm different up in there. They know that. And they come to ask me various things. If you are not open to learning about anything that comes from other places than the church, then you kind of are contributing, throwing the tools out. Right. Somebody else threw the tools out, but we won't accept them. A lot of us, not us on this, on this, whatever this is, live. But I'm talking about us in general. We don't want to be bothered. So there's a problem. I also had one lady who I was working with when I was working with dialysis, and she told me the most bizarre story. I'm telling you these stories because it's an active issue. She told me that her son, she told me don't run out in front of a car because I would get hit. The child said he did it on purpose so he could leave and come back and choose another mother. Now I'm just saying, these are things that people tell me in my day-to-day living that apply to my spiritual practice, which I find is very interesting. It's very interesting.
That is that in itself is interesting because you find yourself, you've worked in the hospital, you've worked several places, but where the children are is where your Egbe is keeping you. And which Egbe do you belong to?
I have Bale.
Bale. And there are
One of the two
different excuse me. Are you cooking with hot peppers? Sorry, y'all, I'm all watering up over here because he's doing something with peppers or something. I'm over here about to choke. Anyway, sorry. There are several different types of Egbe and Egbe symbols. Excuse me. One is Iyalode, which is my personal Egbe, and then there's Eleko. There's several different types.
Jagun, Bale. Yeah, there's a lot.
What are the symbols for Bale?
I was told there were 16. That's what I was told, but I think I was told that was in 1996. So I think I remember I was told 16 of them.
Wow.
I think.
Wow. I don't know that many. I'm still discovering new ones. Like every time I go home, they'll tell me new ones, and it's that can be a challenge trying to pull that information out because it's not a lot of Egbe people that I know. So, do you know the symbols for Bale? What is the
Who? What did you say?
Bale? What does that Egbe do? Does that Egbe specifically do? Your Egbe? Because each Egbe has a
Bale is what. You said my Egbe has a. Then I heard blank. But Bale is one of the chiefs. He's a leader, or she's a leader. And from what I understand, one of the differences in one person's commentary is that the difference in Yalode is looked at as a leader, an earthly leader, whereas Bale could be one that has to do with spiritual entities too. Now that's what I was told by one source.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I understand.
Okay. All right.
Her to be, or him to be a chief.
And could you explain what's the difference between Egbe and Abiku?
Abiku, from my instruction from Baba and Bola, are children or people who were born to die, and the Abiku spirits, also from what I understand from him, are those who die before the age of 40. That after, if you can live, we had one priestess friend, Ibaye, who was told in her Ita that they were trying to keep her here to live past her 40th birthday so she could have a family, etc. She ended up dying at 41. And so now here's the connection. I was told that had I not gone and had the Egbe work done, that they would come and get me. Now that is not necessarily everybody's Egbe, but in my case, if I had not had that work done, I probably would not be here now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because was it you that had that video of that child in Jamaica?
Yes, that was
Whose
scary.
friend, that was wild because I don't think that a child could, I was watching his motions, and I don't think a child could orchestrate that on his own. I don't think he could act that out.
Mm-mm.
I do believe that was his Egbe, and somebody said that he had passed.
Yeah,
I
somebody.
don't know, but that's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned because your friends, I mean, if they're still in the spirit world and they're basically hovering around you, yeah, they'll come and take you if they can, if they want to, especially if you don't know to appeal to them. That's why it's important to feed them, to keep them satisfied, let's say, so that they will work with you and never against you. That was the prayer that my elders in Oyo, when I made Egbe, told me to pray, that they always work with me and never against me, that was the most important, simple prayer that you could ever say, is that. So, instead of trying to always come up with a long, prayer that all of this and that and speaking Yoruba, and what Yoruba is great, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times I would go out there and say, look, I need y'all to work with me and not against me, just period. Because the stories, even in the Odu, and I don't remember what the Odu name was, but they told me this story about a young lady who was getting married, and her Egbe went to her bridegroom's house, and they wreaked havoc over there until they were pretty much done, and then they left. But you must put food out for them. You got to feed them on a regular basis. I remember shortly after I had been initiated to Egbe, maybe about 4 or 5 months later, I was wilding out about something. And and Baba Bimbola, I was telling him about it. And when I got through talking, he says, have you been feeding your Egbe? And I thought, well, yeah, I have been feeding it, but apparently it wasn't enough. So, I mean, they're childlike spirits, and they need to be cared for, just like children need to be cared for.
Yeah.
They need attention.
I've noticed that the more and more that I have been appeasing my Egbe, my life has been going so much more easier. Like, I'm talking about not once in a while, because some people will feed their Egbe once every 2 months or once. No, I'm talking about weekly. Like, they getting food weekly. Like, like, here, Egbe, here you go. Here go a bunch of bananas, popcorn, candy, nuts, whatever. You gonna eat, I eat. Because I need your support. I need you not to make my life hard here on earth. Until I get fulfilled here, I need all your support. I need you to go talk to everybody else, Egbe, to make my life easier. I need this to go a lot more smoother. And when I start getting a more consistent relationship with them, I'm telling you, my life started moving up higher and higher. Everything's going higher. So, the question for you. So, what's the difference between, an attack? Now, Baba Wale wanted to ask this, so he wrote this down. What's the difference between the Egun attacking you and Egbe attacking you? Like some people.
I feel like tell Wale I think it's a trick question. No, but I'm not sure that I have had. I don't know that I can identify and I see I'm going to answer that question in a minute. When we remember to answer, where do you feed them?
I mean, I'm gonna come back to you.
Yeah, we'll come back. I don't know what an Egun attack feels like. I am not sure. Okay, when we say attack, I can tell you what I have sensed. and I knew it was, well, maybe it was egg. There were a couple of times where I was supposed to give my Egbe a certain something or other I was supposed to give him, and I didn't. I kept forgetting. Kept forgetting. So I got into bed one night and I said, okay, I'm going to, I'll give it to him tomorrow. I kid you not, I felt the covers coming off my bed. It felt like somebody was at the foot of the bed pulling the covers off. That's why when I saw that video of that little boy and they were saying they were pulling his covers off and stuff, I said, you all need to be, I'm thinking you all need to be paying attention to that because I've had that happen to me. And I thought, I can be goofy sometime, but I ain't crazy. I ain't stupid. I know I felt them covers moving and I was like, okay, how about I get up now? And I heard, no, don't get up now, but you better not forget tomorrow. I did not forget tomorrow because I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't think I want that to happen. I'm not sure that I can identify with an Egun attack, though. I got to think about that one. I don't think so.
Okay. That was interesting. That was a very interesting, question. Some people feel like they're attacked by Egun and don't know about Egbe and call it an Egun attack, So maybe that was,
yes.
The question.
It could be.
Some people may say, oh, I was attacked by Egun or Egun blocked me or Egun this, and it's not Egun. So that's
right.
That's what I was trying to get clarity with. So with you being a RN, you're RN by profession, and you work at a public school in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm not going to disclose the school. How do you come across Egbe with the students coming in? I know you spoke briefly about that, but how do you help the children? Because obviously the children's spirits, they may not be consciously knowing what they're doing, but their spirits, their Egbe is coming to seek some type of help from you. With these kids constantly, I see you have, and what's the name of your page, Medical Hood Doctor?
Hood Medical. Yeah, that's my website too, Hood Medical.
Get a chance, go to Hood Medical. She got some amazing stories on there. She's an awesome writer. So, what do you do with that? Do you make offerings at home or do you
yes.
them or, what do you do?
Okay, here's the other thing too. Sometimes, most of the times, the school will have snacks. They'll provide snacks for the kids. But if not, I'll bring snacks of my own and I'll give them to them. Okay. So now that's somebody, and this is in keeping with what somebody just asked. Most of the stuff, or a good deal of the stuff that you feed them is snack food. Is children type food. It's basically junk food and fruit. Mm-hmm. Now mine also like egusi stew, and I've gotten to the point where I can make it pretty well.
The little bean.
So I'll make some egusi. Huh?
Bean cakes and more.
Say what? Yes, they'll eat that too. Mm-hmm. Akara, okay. Now here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I tell people, whoever they are, if you white folks and y'all eat certain snack, give your Egbe what you eat. Seriously.
Okay.
Give your Egbe what you eat. I will give mine peanuts in the shell. That's a pretty typical. The guy at the store told me to give them. He says, "Oh, you should try some canned sugar cane because the sugar cane, the big stalk of it." He said, "That's basically good for making rum." So I'm like, okay, well, I'll try the canned stuff. So they eat they'll give you whatever. I give them some of the stalk sometime too. I give them fruit, candy. If I go to the bank and they got those bowls sitting out with candy, any place I go and they got a bowl of candy, I take a couple pieces of candy and just take it. I'm not going to eat it, and I give it to them.
Okay.
So that way, because I'm not a big time candy eater, I don't have to be buying candy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got candy sitting up there that I got from somebody this morning at church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it to them. It's not for me. Because they say, here, Barb, you want some candy? Yeah, I'll take the candy. I'm gonna put it on my altar. I tell them I'm putting it on my altar. I'm not eating this candy. They know it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can give them that. Somebody said, where do you feed them?
Yes.
If you don't have an Egun altar,
not Egbe,
or shrine,
Egbe.
I mean Egbe. Yeah, I mean Egbe, shrine or altar. What I was told before I got my shrine was to take it to a large body of water, like we got Lake Erie here, or a crossroad. If you're having problems with them, as in if they're bothering you at night, if you're having nightmares, if you can't sleep, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you want to take that stuff far away from the house. If they're just like for me, when I was in nursing school, and this was before I made Egbe, when I was in nursing school, I would dream lottery numbers frequently. That was part of how I made it through nursing school, them lottery numbers. If you're getting something like that, you can feed them close to your house. You know, or even I've told people to set a bowl of water out in their room if they can't remember their dreams. Another thing is a way for me, that has worked on this side of the water. I don't know about in Nigeria. We have to do things that, again, we have to work with our peeps, whoever they are. We have to work with them. I journal. I write stuff down that's bothering me or that I have questions about. And when I journal before I go to bed, frequently I get answers while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're reading what I'm writing down or what's on my mind. Mm-hmm. And then when I get up, I have to write the dream, because if you don't act like you're paying attention to what they're saying, if they're talking to you, they're going to stop talking to you. Mm-hmm. They're going to be like, she ain't listening to us. She ain't wrote down a thing. She ain't remembered a dream. She ain't done nothing. Mm-hmm. It's like they send you a letter and you don't open it.
Right. Exactly. So you got to really start learning to build a relationship or listening to the dreams. My next question is, can anybody, whether they're a initiate, you know, they don't have the shrine or whatever, can anybody give offering to Egbe?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Take it to a large body of water, or take it to the crossroad. Okay. I used to tell my oldest son, who lives in Brooklyn in New York, take it and leave it at the crossroad. Just take it out your pocket and put it there. Do you sometimes I would take,
You suggest praying over it?
Oh, yes, but yes. And yeah, I do suggest praying over it. Even if you pray in the house before you take it out, you don't have to stop at the crossroad and say a prayer at the crossroad. Mm-hmm. You can pray over it at home and then drop it. Now, somebody asked me, well, what if somebody picks it up and eats it?
That's that Egbe.
That's fine.
Whatever. That's
an Egbe thing. It could be a Legba thing. You don't care, as long as that's a gift.
Yep.
You'll get back from it.
Yep.
So you really don't care.
So I want to read this back. One of these questions it said, if you know, wait a minute, let me go back. Aburaboye is it true you need to initiate into Egbe in order to break your unknown contract with them?
It could be. If you're having, that's an interesting question, because somebody referred a person to me recently that, oh my goodness, the stuff she has going on, she needs to have that tempered. So it's possible that, I don't know if maybe, I guess if it's okay, first of all, we got to go back to the cosmology, theology, and belief of the system. And if we believe that we choose our Ori before we get here, and if we read, what is that, Ogbe Gunda, Ogbe Yonu, and it talks about the process of picking the head and how you some people picked a faulty one. Mm-hmm. And if you picked a faulty one and you get here and you having a bunch of crap going on, then yeah, I guess you can use that to kind of make an adjustment. I would hate to say break the contract, but I guess if you like are Jeffrey Dahmer and you got a contract like that, you want to break that.
Wow.
Because he crazy, or was.
Yeah.
But if you just are here and you're having a hard time, then I see it in Goma, hold on. Then yeah, you can make adjustments because that's what Egbe is for. And it could be a situation where if you don't make Egbe, or if you don't, at least everybody doesn't have the money to do the finances to do it. If you don't have the funds, you at least can appease them. You can at least feed them. You can acknowledge them. Because I fed mine until I had the funds to go to Nigeria. I just did what Bob and Bola said. I took peanuts, I took candy, I took fruit, and I left it at the lake. And it was usually in the evening.
Because at that time, you didn't, to hear about an Egbe initiation in the States was, I didn't hear about it until recently. I still haven't heard about Egbe initiation in the United States, but hopefully it can happen on this side soon or more to help people, because that is one aspect that is very important. It was another question over here, and Goma said, "Can you leave
near a tree?"
Yeah, if you're not by a body of water. I think she said by a crossroad if you're not by a body of water.
Well, here's the thing too. There are Egbe spirits that stay in certain trees.
Banana tree, the cocoa leaf. There's the Egbe of the cocoa leaf. There's the Egbe of the banana tree. But it ain't no like wild banana trees in America, unless you go down in Florida or like
right
areas. And then you had a cocoa leaf. You can get a cocoa leaf plant. They kind of like elephant ears. That's cocoa, Egbe cocoa. And there's a specific Egbe that lives in the cocoa leaf. But maybe to find out what Egbe you belong to, because Iyalode has a specific symbol. But again, if you don't have that, I would say, if you have the tools, if you're initiated and you have tools like what is that, the cowrie shells or a puele, you can ask where you want to go, because some Egbe live in the trash heap, in the garbage.
Yeah.
Some of them.
I would say make the offering. Yeah. That's what I would say. I'd say go ahead and make it.
Yeah.
And like in Ngoma Baba, you have tools and you can ask if that's a good place, if it's an okay place to leave it. But I certainly would, if I couldn't get to the water, or sometimes the crossroads can be a pain too, because you got people that's all over the place and they're nosy. And I happen to dislike that, because I don't like people asking me, what are you doing? And blah, blah, blah. None of your business. Just I'm making my offering. You just want to do it yourself. So if you find that it's an easier place to do it, or a more peaceful place to do it, then I would just ask them, or I would say, you know what, can y'all just accept this because blah, 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 blah.
Because they know, because
I would just ask
Egbe or Risha, they know your heart. They're not looking at the face. They're looking at your heart. Yes. So it's the intent, really. And that, at the end of the day, is very important. That's more important. They know your intent. So I got
here's a question. Wait a minute. Let me answer this question real quick before I forget. Can you acknowledge them at your Egbe shrine? I would not. I would do outside somewhere, because remember, or maybe you came after we started, your Egbe is not the same as your earthly ancestors. Your earthly ancestors come to you, or you come through them. You have their DNA and everything, and this is medical. Yeah. Your Egbe is a spiritual thing. They were with you before you incarnated on earth. So that's a whole different energy. So I would feed them outside, not on your Egbe shrine.
Yeah. Next question. Husbands and wives in husband and wives, Oh my God, they can disturb you. You got people that they just can't keep no relationship at all. Can you please
Girl,
tell us about that?
if they don't like who you're with, you gonna have a problem, or you ain't gonna be with them.
Hmm.
The other thing is, though, I have heard of people who, particularly women, I haven't heard this of men, not saying it isn't, women who have an Egbe, a husband in the spirit world, that don't want them to hook up with some man down here. So it's like you said, they're in and out of relationships, that kind of thing.
It fizzles,
And
Ray. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I would tell them, look here, if you don't leave me alone down here and let me do what I need to do, then when I get back there, I'm not going to want to have nothing to do with your ass. That's just how that's going to work.
But is there some type of work that can be done? Is there specific spiritual work that has to be done?
I think I'm sure there is. I would certainly ask Mile Luo if he could, cast Ifa for that, because, yeah. And I said, yeah, I would ask. I'm sure
You,
Ifa can do some of everything.
yeah, that's
Huh?
because that's a deep. You got people that really are lonely. They don't have anybody.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
relationships keep fizzling, and it's a really. I think I can't really answer that. I think you need to get consultation for that, because if I know he sees,
I think so too.
it's deep. It's really deep. That's that, and it's sad, and I, it's unfortunate.
It is
Um,
sad. It is sad. And a lot of times it really isn't the person or anything they're doing. It really is their egg bay.
right.
And it's not necessarily their ancestors. I'm really glad that the whole idea and the whole concept of egg bay is open and out now, because it's very important. Somebody, Ifatumi She Ifa Sadun, says Egun and Egbe are very important to all. That's very true. It's really true. How do I know if what you have going on is an issue with the Orisha, the Egun, or the Egbe? Well, initially you might not. Initially you might need to consult on that. I'm going into my 26th year, or 21st year with Egbe, I think. Anyway, it's a long time. I know what Oshun sounds like when she speaks to me. I know what my Egbe activity is now, because it's been with me for so long. Yeah. But initially, you might need to find that out through divination. Do family from past lives fall under Egbe?
For me, one of my indications when I'm not taking care of my egg bay is they start to hide stuff. They'll take, and it's mostly my keys.
Oh, Lord have mercy,
money.
yes.
Don't mess with my keys and my money or my phone. Let me tell you something. It was last month. I went to work and I said, God, I left my phone at home. I said, okay, I'll go in between my break and go get it. I came back to pick up my phone. I get to work, all the way to work. My wallet was at home. So I had my phone. I said, okay, Egbe, I hear you. I hear you all day. Okay. So they got my keys, my phone, or my money with all my cards, my purse with all my cards and my money and all that. I said, okay, I got you. Stop him from doing that. Stop him from doing that. And so I said, okay, all right, it's time. But I don't want it to get to that point that they're snatching stuff from me. So I was like, okay, I got to get more consistent. Let me focus, let me slow down. And another thing is I'll dream about a gathering of women in my dream. And the gathering of women will be by water or some type of celebration. I can't see their faces. And it's different from the dreams that like the Iami dreams, seeing those elders. but this one is like different women and children, different ages, and it's usually some type of festivity. I can't see their faces, but they're welcoming me. It feels good and everything. It's like, okay, Egbe needs something from me. So I know I've heard of other people having dreams with like that. You know, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that must be a symbol. I relate it to Egbe, and it feels like that. So, do they come through your dream? Do they come to you like that and speak to you through your dreams, or do you actually see
Yes.
them? You know.
Um, I may not see them, but let me tell you about this one I had. Okay. So I had already been to Nigeria. Some bizarre stuff happened. That's why when these kids tell me stuff, I just look at them and, that's probably why they come, because they know I'm a believe them.
Mhm.
So I was in the bed and I was laying on my back, which I don't usually do. So I saw one aspect of me get up and go stand at the closet door.
Mhm.
The light of the closet door was on, but the room was dark. I know I turned that closet door off before I went to bed. I know I did. Okay, so then another aspect of me gets out of me, and I'm watching this, and goes to the window. And an entity on the other side of the window. The window is closed,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
the entity is handing me tamarind. Tamarind. You know what tamarind is?
Yes.
Okay, so yes. And the entity is telepathically telling me that I have to eat it when it's sweet. Okay, so I ate the tamarind, got back into my body, then the other aspect got back in my body. Okay, now let's fast forward to Cuba. I go to Cuba and I get a reading from the Babalao. Babalao in Havana, Cuba. Why does he tell me about tamarind and I have to eat it when it's sweet? I was done, just done. I could not believe it. This is the type of stuff that reminds you that this is why I say it's very important. If you have egg activity, you need to pay attention to them so they'll be productive and not destructive in your life.
Right.
For people who are telling these kids, oh, you don't have imaginary friends, oh, you don't have that, you don't have this, and put them on a bunch of medicine. Now, I'm not saying kids shouldn't be on medicine. People sometimes have to be on medicine. I could lose my license and tell people don't be on medicine. But I'm going to tell you this, some of this stuff, a lot of it is spiritual. And again, if we use the tools are simple. They're a little odd because, of course, you got to tell people you're putting candy outside.
Yeah.
But what works? Because this stuff happens. If you go back through your journaling, if you keep a journal, you'll see where it's happening.
Right. 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 Right.
So
That's deep. That's deep. Well, okay, we got another
that
question.
was deep.
Can some members of your earthly family be a part of this same egg bay as you?
I'm sure they can. I haven't had that experience. You mean like your sister or your brother or your mom or something, or you mean
Nephews, your
cousins or
nieces, your mother, can y'all belong to the same egg bay?
I have heard Bob and Bola did tell me that egg bay can run in families.
Mhm.
So what I took that to mean is, okay, my oldest son has egg bay issues. He drink. Both of my kids do. Um, my mother, my oldest son and myself all have the left eye twitch when something is up. All three of us.
Oh wow.
So we'll call each other. Is your eye twitching? Is your eye twitching? No, my eye not twitching. Because that's one of our little signs. So I mean, I guess it could be
Mhm.
not only blood relatives, but it could also be, egg bay through the family. But there is a distinct difference between your ancestors and your egg bay.
Yeah, yeah, but definitely, it's definitely a strong distinction. And I
Mhm.
know that even your friends that you've hang like you are so you can be so tight with, you have a circle that you run with. Some of those people can be part of your egg bag.
They could be.
You know,
They could be.
you
You could be.
yeah, you don't know. Let me see.
Yeah.
It was another question for you. Shh. Don't you see I'm on Facebook Live? You see this? That's a Eleco child right there. Eleco always does Egbe affect your behavior? Because this one, it affects his behavior.
You know, it's funny too because I was reading about ballet, and ballet they say is they define that person as having multiple personalities or multi-talented. And, you know, I find that there are a lot of things that I like to do. I don't like to do them all at the same time. I might not do some for a couple of years, but there's a lot of things. It can help you to know about yourself.
Yeah.
There was one, I think it was Jagun, that likes to work with metals and can be hard-headed and, you know, metals as in guns. So if you have a child that's like that, you need to address that issue. So that they don't take that. You still got to think in terms of work with me and not against me. You must, because if you got that aspect as a child, then that child needs to be cared for in a certain way.
Okay.
And again, these are the tools that we have at our access that we don't know to use. You know, I'll say we don't know because a lot of people don't know. And yes, the woman might have to marry a Babala. I'm looking at that. The other thing, I was also told that Egbe in women may have a lot to do with witchcraft. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, IJ, that type of energy, no.
That's not a bad thing.
You know, Egbe, like there's some Egbe that I've learned about that have the power of Afoshe, and whatever they say, it manifests very quick. So some people I confuse that with witchcraft, like a bad witchcraft, you know, because what they say can manifest very, very quickly. I've heard that from about Ialode people. I don't know about other ones, but I know that about Ialode people.
I'm looking at some of the questions too. I'm of the understanding and the belief that Ifa can address any issue. I divine with my Elegba Dilugun because in the Lukumi system, that's who they told me whose Dilugun they said to use. Use Elegbas for the general public. I only use Oshuns or Egbes for myself personally.
Okay.
But for the general public, I use Elegbas, and he will tell me if the through the Odu whether the person needs Egbe work or if they're if Yemonja is going to be the role, Batala or Egun or whoever, you know.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. So, did you have a hard time from your elders or counterparts, your peers in the Lukumi system when you initiated in another system to Egbe? Did you have that issue? I mean, I know that's your destiny, and that's for you. But did you I mean, because there are people on here that's struggling with that. They won't get something that they need for their destiny because they are scared what the elders or their peers may say in one lineage. You feel what I'm saying? And so you are like my shero because you was like, look, I'm doing this for my destiny. Forget the protocols over here. I respect them, but for my destiny, I'm gonna do what I need to do for my destiny. So we have people that
you know what? If you got the backing of your ancestors, your peeps, your ancestors first. Them is your peeps. It's like, okay, so my grandfather, my grandma, both my grandfathers, both my grandmothers, now my dad, my aunts and uncles, come on now. What earthly person am I going to allow to tell me to do something and my ancestors say, okay, you need to do so and so? Because before I made Oshun, Oshun Yoyin suggested, set up your ancestors and let them guide you. That's the best piece of information, the best piece of advice I had gotten. So from my perspective, if my ancestors say that I should go and do this in Nigeria, I don't care what anybody else is saying.
I love that.
I just don't.
I love that. So
they'll get over it.
For people.
This is because it's my life. I'm responsible for this.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I love it.
It is what it is.
I love that. That's encouraging for people to move forward and get that information they need, and don't let, different, respect protocols, respect all that. But at the end of the day, It's your own destiny. It's your own destiny. You have to do what's best for you.
Respect people, right? But you gotta do what you gotta do, because if somebody is telling me you might not be around here too long if you don't go over there, and then somebody else go, oh, I don't, you that I've never heard of that, and you don't.
I love it. So, I'm Conscious Marie. I wanted to answer you that if you start from the video, yes, she was told in a reading that she needed to initiate to Egbe. So that was in the beginning of the video. Ia Oshofumike says, can Eshu take offering to Egbe?
I'm sure he could, but this is how I usually do it, and this is how I did it before I had my Egbe shrine. I would, of course, give a little bit to Olegba, but I would still take it outside to a crossroad or to a large body of water, just because that's what Baba Bola told me to do. But I would still share with Olegba, because that's why I was taught to do offerings, was to share with him. So, but I think because I went to the crossroad or the water because I was told to do that. That's not saying Olegba can't take it, but because I was told to do it that way, that's how I did it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what have you learned since being initiated, in the 21 years being initiated to Egbe? What is the top most 3 important lessons that has carried you thus far?
One thing is that, like we were just saying, I am unique. My destiny is mine. I'm responsible for it. So I have to do what it is that I need to do. What I'm told to do is what I do. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it's really important to stay on top of Egbe, because they are very powerful in our lives, whether we really understand what that is or not. They are very powerful. Mm-hmm. And it's easier just to give them the snacks and say prayers to them. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we have to understand that at any given day, at any given time, anyone in our environment could be dealing with their own personal Egbe issues, whether they know it or not. So sometimes it's not a thing of taking something personally that someone says or does. Sometimes it's just the energies that they're dealing with. And we can't all hold that against, we can't hold that against them. I think 20 years, I think that I am one of, not the, but one of the first group of people that went to, and my battery's getting low, that went to Nigeria to get Egbe. Mm-hmm. And so 20 years is still relatively new. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really do think that spiritually and medically, Egbe is extremely important.
Mhm.
Extremely.
You said it medically. Why medically? I know why spiritually.
Because the reason I'm going to say that is because the way that the medical community is choosing to, or even law enforcement is choosing to deal with a lot of these issues that our kids and some of our adults have, is through medication or through punishment. And a lot of times it's not the person's fault like that. It's their responsibility to take care of it, or somebody's parents, but it's not their fault. So I think the more we understand about what we're dealing with spiritually, the better off we'll be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because there's a lot of entities running around on Earth along with us. And if we don't understand how to manage them, we got a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
A major problem. So I'd rather just put the candy outside. I don't care who of my neighbors sees it. I don't care. It's out there. You want some, have it.
I love it. I love the I don't care attitude, because so many people are afraid to think about what others think. And who cares? You know,
I'm walking upstairs, so just ignore the change in the.
I'm just trying to live a better quality life, be higher, so I don't even have to come back here when it's time,
Girl.
move forward. I can be ancestor. I ain't got to do it all over again, or whatever I need to do to just make a better life for myself and my children. Who cares what anybody else thinks? That thinking about what others think will get you messed up and your destiny messed up.
Won't it?
You will fall short.
Won't it?
You will fall short.
And I really like the idea of having some entities who will be my direct, my direct assistants.
Mm-hmm.
I like journaling and going to bed and getting an answer. That doesn't happen 100% of the time, but I like the possibility of that happening, of knowing I can get an answer. I mean, where else can you do that? It's difficult. The Egbe is a very, very, very powerful group of entities or entity. Yeah, they're very powerful. And they really would like to help us if we would just let them. Egbe must love Halloween.
Yes, because Fumige loves Halloween.
That is kind of
she
funny.
She loves Halloween. She loves it. The candy, the fun.
And the thing about Halloween is, Samhain or All Saints and All Souls Day and all of that kind of stuff, where those yes, and let me just tell y'all, to make it worse, I was initiated to Oshun on October 31st.
Yes, happy belated
overnight we were being made. And I told my Ibeji, she's a child of Obatala, I said, what in the heck did they do to us overnight on Halloween? So, yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm not sure if anybody else got any other questions, because I need to marinate on all what you just told me. I need to marinate on that. That was a lot of great information that you shared with us in this intimate interview. I really thank you for your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding of Egbe, just the connection with spirit and self. I really appreciate that. So, Baba Shegun Osaepa, what is the difference between receiving Egbe and initiating to Egbe?
My understanding of that, you can get an Egbe pot, and it's kind of, well, I don't know if it's the same as an Awe pot, because some people have an Awe pot in their house at their front door for people to refresh with and clean off with. But initiated to Egbe, you actually going to get basically the same kind of, the ceremony is a little different, a little bit, but you're going to get a ceremony where you're going to get the baths, and you're going to get your head shaved, and you're going to get this and that. You know, I, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so just receiving is not the whole initiation process. The receiving, because I received Egbe on behalf of my son when he was younger. So um, I received the icons. I didn't receive
Okay,
the whole.
the whole,
You know,
right.
we didn't do initiation, so we received, and it's been working thus far until he is able to initiate to Egbe, which will be.
I had to get the whole initiation when I went. Somebody saying, what is Egbe? The word Egbe means society. Egbe Ogba is the whole name. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, Wale. But Egbe Ogba
Ain't why they answer
means
so anal on the language.
it means the the group does not accept. In other words, the group does not accept. The group is a little particular, or a little peculiar, or a little cantankerous at times. So they can be kind of picky, you know.
Mhm.
How did
So
you and your sister first start studying real quick, okay, I was a member of the Methodist Church. We grew up Methodist. I was still attending church. Something was missing. There's certain aspects of church that I really like. Like today we did Wisdom Council installation where, you know, they got a council of elders, and it's a really nice ceremony that has a lot of influence from Ghana. And then we got to dance, my African dance ministry, and we got to sing. I like singing and dancing in church. That's what I like. But with the Methodist church, it's a little different. It was not as cultural, and there were problems. I was having issues. So my sister was going to Howard University, and she was there with Oshun Yoyin and Iya Bamike, Oshun Bamike Ibaye. And they introduced her, and she introduced me, and it immediately resonated with me. So I was just like jumped right in. It was just, it was the missing link for me. So that's how, that's how.
mhm, mhm. You
Mhm.
got in. That was your byway.
Got in. And yes, Egbe is your group of spiritual peers, your society in heaven, your comrades.
Yes, this was
I think we answered all the questions, did we?
this was very informative. I'm trying to see, are there any other questions? Oshunfumke says, I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Let me
Love y'all.
Ifadeyi says, thank you so much. Um, let me see. What else? I'll just
Conscious Marie. Yes, it did come up in a reading that I needed to make Egbe. Yes,
make sure it's
I
no
was told.
questions. What does it mean when we are hearing the mothers in our ears? I don't know if she was asking about mothers in our ears or Egbe in our ears. I'm not sure, but maybe you can answer this one last question.
I did have an experience with that. When I first realized that the mothers were willing to work with me, again, it was through Egbe, through my Egbe. They sent me a dream. It was very vivid, where I actually was sitting on the couch in the house that I was living in, and a bird, a very large bird, flew off of the garage and into the room where the couch was. And of course, I'm in the bed, sleep, dreaming this, and they're flying through the wall and stuff. And the bird transformed into a very large woman. I mean, she was like 7 feet tall and a really big woman. And she sat down and she just looked at me, and telepathically she asked me, what do I want? And I told her what I wanted, and she said, start feeding us. Okay.
You know, you be
So I did.
you
I'm That's why these kids come, because they think That lady right there
I
is
swear she's
different.
giving some. You need to. I swear you need to write a book on these memoir dreams. These are. It's just
Well, you know, Hood Medical is almost done. It's coming out
good.
in the beginning of the year. Hood Medical, but
I can't wait to buy
yeah,
it. Just let me know where to buy it from. That's all. So, Ife, she's a shoe priest in the Lukumi system, and she wants to know what are your thoughts on why Egbe is not practiced in Lukumi?
that's a very good question. The only thing I can think of is based on the history that I know of Lukumi, and I'm not saying I'm a Lukumi history buff, but I don't know what came from I don't know what came to, let's say, Matanzas or Havana or any of those areas in Cuba. I don't know if Egbe priests came. So if they didn't, then they wouldn't have had an Egbe perspective. What I was told by the person who said that it probably wasn't necessary for me to go to Nigeria and get Egbe, that person, I was told that I probably could have gotten Palo. I don't think Palo is not the same. I don't get the impression that it is. Um,
Mm.
that's the only reason I can think that maybe it's not practiced in Lukumi, and maybe it will, or maybe it's starting to be. I don't know.
But it can't.
I don't
Does
know.
that mean it would be infused with traditional, and it's a whole different protocols? It's just I think it's just starting to shine a light on it because it's necessary. It's so many people that need to know about their Egbe and that they belong to a spiritual family before coming to this earth. The light is being shed. It's so much more information about it now. And because of technology, thank God for Ogun. Thank God for Ifa. The technology is amazing for us to learn about these things on both sides of the water now. Getting the exposure of Egbe, Egbe, because Egbe is real. Egbe is real. It does not
Very.
exist. So just because it is not in one system doesn't mean it does not exist across the board. It exists. It's
Exactly.
very real. It's very
And Odo Ifag Bami, are there any spiritual gifts that an individual may have? Yes, I think that, but I think they're a little different. For me, my gift comes through, it comes when I'm sleeping. I can see
okay.
clearer. The prophecy comes through dreams. I'm sure there are other gifts, there are sensitivities, but again, because you're dealing with an energy that's childlike, from what I was told, you have to be mindful that the children that are really affected by Egbe energy need to be worked with, because otherwise their gift could be lost, or it could be misused, it could be shut down, because like I was saying, Jagun, if you were to read up on that particular aspect, that one, you'll see the personality traits that go along with the different aspects of Egbe. And if you don't work with those children, the gift could just be gone, because our society can't, right, misinterpret it. Exactly. Robin St. Clair. Yep,
That makes
misinterpret it.
that makes sense. And
So,
Baba Louise was saying he thinks that Lukumi Korikoto, which is the Orisha over children, and that Orisha is very rare. I've only heard of it being in Lagos, Korikoto, and it's still
I haven't heard of it at all.
Korikoto.
So,
Wow. Well, I guess in some lineages in Lukumi
yeah.
it exists with Orisha Omo, associated with Orisha Omo, but that in Nigeria, Korikoto is still well and alive in Lagos. I don't know anywhere else, but I know in Lagos, and it's very rare in Lagos, which is
Okay.
the Egbe over children, women and children. That was the Egbe that saved
Mm-hmm.
women and children during slavery, the enslavement of
Okay.
Africans. It's
Okay.
very interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And
All right.
Korikoto is one of the Egbe. Yeah, Korikoto. It's a song
All
about
right.
Korikoto. I don't
I
remember the song,
shall.
but it's a Korikoto song. I
Okay.
remember hearing here in the States, in the Lukumi songs. But I don't remember the song. That's the only thing. That's very interesting though. With that, with the Korikoto. I wonder why it's not well known and why widespread, Baba. It's very interesting. You're welcome, Ife.
Yes.
I think that's it. What are the personality traits that you see when children have Egbe issues? For me, I'm gonna say for me, when my son is more like stubborn, very stubborn. For his Egbe, very stubborn, very sneaky, play a lot, play around a lot, just like a trickster, things like that, and always accident prone. When I tell you, every year since he was born,
Yes,
there's
yes,
something
yes,
major that
yes,
he has to go in the hospital for, whether it's his stitches,
yes.
something
Accident prone.
major. When I say major, and I'm like,
Hmm.
what is it this year? What is it this year? Every year since the child was born.
It's not right. Yep. I had a couple of cuts that required stitches. I had a broken ankle. I mean, it was a little stuff. Burns. It was a variety of things. And yes, visit a school. The children who can't sit still, the children who seem that are distracted all the time, the children who don't sleep well at night, um, just a variety of them.
That's true. My son just gets up and walk around in class. He'll get up and walk around. He's 13 years old. He still sees spirits. He'll say
Yep,
spirits
accident.
touched and talk to me. Say, and he's not psychotic. He's not none of that. He is very he can see spirits and hear them very well. He is gifted. He is very gifted. And I think that'd be his egg bag talking to him like, yo, do
Yes.
this
So,
today.
so
Do
you
this.
can see,
You're going to do this today.
right. And you can see that if you don't take care of them and demand that they work with you and not against you, you got a problem.
Yep.
And here again, from a medical perspective, then here comes the Adderall, the Risperidol, the methylphenidate, the this and the that,
Yep.
all of that.
It's true. I've been there. And the more and more I appease on his behalf, I'm like, come on, John, let's go to the egg based shrine, let's do our offerings. If I have him on a consistent,
Mhm.
like, you got to come on, we got to, I can see it easing up. I can see things, but if
Yep.
they're not consistent, oh my God. I'm telling you, it's
It's
really, it's
it's
like
it,
hell. And it can be, and
I'm telling
for
you,
parents like that,
I'll be trying all
it,
sorts of
it can be
things to
emotionally
think of
distressing.
how can I get these kids to feed their egg bay without their parents reporting me to the
I
district.
think that teachers, and I'm looking at Oya for me, Oya. I looking at her being a teacher. I think if you a teacher and you initiating or you know about this, I think I think y'all should make offerings on behalf for these children, for the children.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do it for just general purpose. Do the offerings for these children every day and see these children ease up in your class, ease up and make even make your life easier as a teacher or RN, school nurse or guidance counselor or whatever. I think it will also ease up your life and not be stressing because teachers have a challenge, especially junior high,
Oh
high
yes.
school. So
Yep.
I think that would help
If you
also.
got a bunch of elecos and a couple of jagoons in one class, you got a problem. I had one lady tell me that she thought that I should try to get an audience with some pediatricians. And I thought to myself, yes, adults do. I thought to myself, oh my goodness, y'all really about to throw me to the lion's den. Some pediatricians. But you know what? Once I get Hood Medical out, then I'm going to work towards that.
Okay.
Just to say, okay, I just want y'all to hear me out. You don't have to believe me if you don't want to, but I'm here to tell you X, Y, and Z. And then I'll have a little bit more credibility because I will have put the book out and I will have been, I had all this experience as a school nurse because you know how that goes. You got to have some experience else they're going to say you crazy.
I'm
So, but
curious to know, Patricia said adults have Egbe issues too, but I work with them on a regular. It looks different in adults. What does it look like in adults? Because some of these people be getting on my
it can look
nerves.
different.
What does it look like, Or shouldn't have come to me to you? Because it be some of these folks work my nerves.
Passive aggressive behavior.
Really?
Um, oh yes, it could be passive aggressive behavior. It can be manipulative behavior. It can be forgetting. It can be not really knowing what they're doing, but making like they do. It can be changing up their mind on certain things and not telling anybody until after it's over the last minute. Yeah. Lying. Oh, yes, lying. Yes. Yes.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's in adults too.
Wow.
I focus on children because I like the idea of trying to catch it when it's young. Because once you get older, especially you got irresponsible, yes, you get adults who think they know, especially if they're professionals, quote unquote. They think they know, they don't want to make any changes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, so their behavior is a result of things that never got addressed as children.
Wow.
So if we can get the kids while they're young
That,
and help them to work with that energy, I don't agree with not telling kids, oh no, you didn't see that. I kind of be careful with that. Some things might be a stretch, but I try not to tell kids that because it's coming from somewhere. They did see or they did hear.
yeah, of course.
It's trying to help them figure out okay, how did you see that? How did you hear that? Did you hear something else? What were you doing when that happened? So what are you going to do about that? You know, those types of things. They have to work through it,
Mhm.
you
That's true.
know.
Yeah, they always blaming escape. They looking for escapism also instead of kind of taking accountability. I see that a lot in adults. It's just like the pity party, and I can
Yeah.
see that happening. I can see that. Yeah, and it's
Yes, absolutely, Renee Waters, absolutely. They're closer to the spirit world. Yes. Yes,
yeah.
it's
Let me
very much
go
easier.
with this.
And okay, I'm gonna say I know we over, but I'm gonna say one last thing. Those remember the SIDS babies, the SIDS,
Yeah,
sudden infant death syndrome
it's
babies.
definitely got to be connected with.
Those those are Abiku. Those are Abiku children, and they are very close to the spirit world. So if they come into, or those children, those people who have, I had one lady come to me, she had had 12 miscarriages, 12,
Man.
12, and she was really damaged mentally. She ended up not wanting to do the EBO because it was just a really messy situation between her and her husband. But some of these babies don't want to come. These children don't want to come. Or when they get here, they want to leave. So, you know, they're really, from what I have seen with the SIDS babies, they usually can't find out why the children left, why they died.
Mm-hmm.
This is more, it's more spiritual issues, I think. So,
Okay,
I don't know, we got a lot of
this is the
work.
one last question that I have, comment question, and then I'm gonna let you go. I thank you so much. The last one is this:
You.
when Egbe sees you unhappy and crying and complaining all the time about life, oh my God, I'm broke. I ain't got no money. Oh my God, I ain't got no man. Oh my God, my job get on my nerves. Oh my God, my car broke down. I got to get on the bus. I mean, complain about every goddamn thing it works my nerve. Like I come across people every day, whether they're a client or a family member, they complain. They never thank God for. I thank God, but I mean, I could be better. I could be this. You know what I'm saying? It's just it works my nerve. What about that egg bay? I mean, what about that person? Egbe and they hear the suffering of that person, you think that Egbe gonna snatch them?
Well, I'm gonna put it this way. There are so many miserable people in the world. We can't say that the Egbe snatches all of them. But I will say that I think that if you don't recognize your blessings, if all you got is misery, they're going to leave your ass alone after a point. If you can't be thankful for something, there's got to be something you can be thankful for. And if you're not appealing to them, because see, here's the thing. There have been periods of time where I have not been working, had no formal income, but I was never hungry. My utilities were on. I stayed in my house. My car was running. They saw to it that I had what I needed, wherever that came from. Now, if I had chosen to just wah, 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 constantly, then maybe I wouldn't have been so fortunate, or so blessed.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I will go on a rant with my peeps sometime, with my Arisha. And my thing is also, y'all, please be patient with me, because I'm not a lazy person and I'm working hard and I'm still not getting what I need. So please be patient with me while I blow off steam. I will say that, and then I'll come back and still give them offering and thank them for what I have. I mean, it's like, I'm not the Orisha, I'm human. So yeah, I need them to be patient with me, because some days I might be tripping.
Yeah.
And that's part of ballet also. The multiple personalities.
Oh, that's good advice. Thank you for that. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. When I see you, we got to talk more about this. This is great information.
Yes,
yes. People can get a jump start on learning more about Egbe and their personal Egbe and things like that. So and my battery is not going low also, so that's a sign.
Well, people can email me too. They can go through the bigger website is bbeyondcategory.com. And if you go on to the Bukale's Nest or any of that part of that, you can go on the contact page and get in touch with me if you got, personal questions.
Can you say that website one more time, please?
BB Beyond Category. Yep, BB Beyond Category.com.
And Ibukale's Nest is one of your blogs, and Hood Medical.
That's right. That's a blog. Mm-hmm. And hoodmedical.com is a website too, but you can hit that off BB Beyond Category.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. Okay. Well, thank you, Ia. You have a blessed night and a peaceful
You
night.
all have a blessed night. And thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Thanks, everybody, for your support and tuning in. Till next time, we'll see you next time. Ireo, Odaro.
Ire. Oda.